Hello and welcome to Nice and Blunt. My name is Adam Riancho, and today we're going to have our first official mock draft of this new offseason. We've done a couple mock drafts already, but those were kind of just not really that serious. Now it's mid-June. It's time to get a little bit more serious. So here it is. We're going to use Fantasy Pros as we have in the past. And today we're just going to start at the 101. So we've got one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, one tight end, one flex, and let's not do kickers or defense, and let's stick with 6 bench spots. We are ready to go. Vámonos. Okay, so the 3 players that we're considering here at the first overall pick are Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, and Alvin Kamara. And the reason why I'm going to pick Christian McCaffrey first overall, here's a look at why I would prefer Christian McCaffrey over Dalvin Cook. Now, in terms of touches per game, the 2 players who had the most last season were Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey, as you can see here. Basically the same amount of opportunity per game, just a little bit over 25. However, in most scoring formats, catching passes gets you more points, and that's why targets are a big factor. So last season, Dalvin Cook had an average of 3.9 targets per game, and Christian McCaffrey had over 6. So that's 2 more passes that they have the potential of catching, and with those extra points, that's why I would pick Christian McCaffrey first overall. There you have it. Bing, bang, boom. Christian McCaffrey is our first player. All right. So let's take a look at the draft board. Mostly running backs going off the board. Patrick Mahomes was the first quarterback taken right before us. So who's still available at running back? Pretty good names, but obviously we have the next pick. So you got to just take best player available. And in my opinion, it's going to be Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon is the best running back of these still available. Let's take a look at Joe Mixon's touches per game last season. Joe Mixon averaged 23.3 touches per game, and that's 4th in the league. So his opportunity is definitely there. However, he did get injured. Offensive line is not necessarily the best. His points per touch are kind of low, however. 0.64, not something you're super proud of. But the fact that he's getting all that opportunity is important. He does average 94.3 yards per game, which is definitely high up there. He has a high floor when he plays. However, touchdowns are okay. Okay, so Joe's getting 19.8 carries per game and a little over 4 targets per game. Yeah, there it is. 4.3 targets per game for Joe Mixon. So that's why I'm going to take Joe Mixon. He gets a lot of opportunity, and he's worth considering as a top 15 running back for sure. We need to look at wide receiver. We don't want to miss out on an elite wide receiver. And personally, it's worth considering a tight end here. George Kittle and Darren Waller are both appealing picks. They definitely won't be available coming back to us. However, I would rather take my favorite receiver here and go with Keenan Allen. I think him and Justin Herbert developed a very good rapport last season, and I think it's pretty much a lock that Keenan Allen stays in that top 10 receiving tier. In my opinion, he's more like wide receiver 7, and given who else was off the board, that's a very good pick in my eyes. So obviously the 2 tight ends we mentioned that we were considering have come off the board. Let's take a look at this 4th pick of ours. We've already got Keenan Allen, a very good wide receiver 1, but we do need to shore up that position. And Robert Woods is very appealing. So is Cooper Kupp. They've got a new quarterback, a quarterback upgrade. DJ Moore is definitely a name to consider. He has a new quarterback. And while I do love DJ Moore a lot, I feel like the rapport in Carolina with Sam Darnold is going to favor Robbie Anderson, who you can get much later. So that's why I'm not really considering DJ Moore at this pick, given I'd much rather have Robbie Anderson a couple rounds later. So Myles Gaskin is very appealing. Myles Gaskin, let me explain why I like Myles Gaskin a lot. Let's go into overall touches per game here. Kind of going to be the main stat that I rely on in this video for running backs. Myles Gaskin comes in at over 18 touches per game. Myles Gaskin ranks 10th in overall touches per game. That's nothing to sneeze at. You can't dismiss Myles Gaskin as a fantasy player. And as our flex, that's really good value. So that's why I'm going to take Myles Gaskin at the end of the 4th round. And now we all 3 receivers that we were considering are still there on the board. I like Robert Woods personally. I'm going to take Robert Woods. I think Robert Woods is a little bit more consistent. He doesn't get as much end zone targets as Cooper Kupp does, but in this situation, I like Robert Woods a lot. Oh, there's my dog, Wolfie. He's getting up. He doesn't want to stay here. Hey, you good, Woofus? Huh? Yeah, I think you're fine. Okay, so to round out our top 5 picks, we got Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon, Myles Gaskin at running back, and Keenan Allen, Robert Woods shoring up our 2 top wide receivers. So it's going to be interesting to see when we fill this tight end slot. But the best of the best quarterbacks have been taken off the board. The best tight ends have been taken off the board. Like we were saying, we like Robbie Anderson a couple rounds later. So that's definitely a name that we're considering. Tyler Boyd is really interesting. I like Deebo Samuel a lot. I love his talent. However, that San Francisco passing attack is just not really... I don't love the San Francisco passing attack, especially with Jimmy Garoppolo under center. They're a run-first team. I'm going to take Robbie Anderson. To be quite frank with you, the tier of players at wide receiver really falls off after this next pick. So that's why I'm going to pick Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd was averaging over 10 targets per game when Joe Burrow was under center. That is elite. Okay, so our 4 receivers that we have are Keenan Allen, who last year ranked 2nd in targets per game. We also have Robert Woods, who last year ranked 13th in targets per game. We also drafted Robbie Anderson, who ranked 10th in targets per game. And we also drafted Tyler Boyd, who, although last year he ranked 28th in targets per game, that number is skewed. When Joe Burrow only played 9 games, and in that span, Tyler Boyd was his number 1 target, averaging over 10 targets per game. 10 targets per game is quite substantial. In terms of the league, 10 targets per game would have been top 5. So Tyler Boyd and the 3 other receivers that we've drafted offer a tremendously high floor of targets, a tremendously high opportunity floor, and like we were saying with the running backs, all 3 in the top 10, we're securing a shit ton of volume here in our first 7 picks. Hey, Woof. Hi, Bobo. You want to be let out? Is that what it is? Let's go. Watch, he's going to come right back in. A.J. Dillon, there's a lot of touches at the running back position last year that are available that went to Jamal Williams here. Jamal Williams... Okay, so we drafted A.J. Dillon. That is kind of a bit more of a personal preference. I just like A.J. Dillon a lot. I like the Green Bay backfield. I think Matt LaFleur really knows what he's doing in the run game. And as long as Aaron Rodgers is there, that offense is elite. And if anything were to happen to Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon would be a very, very good replacement. He would pretty much jump into the top 10 immediately. So he's a very good handcuff. And even if you don't have Aaron Jones, he's a very valuable running back to have. We definitely need to consider quarterback a little bit at this point. But like I was saying, there's only 2 teams that haven't drafted a quarterback. We're one of them. And I'm willing to roll the dice on who will be back at quarterback in the next round available for us. So there's a lot of talk about Laviska Shenault and how he's popping off at practice. Seems to be one of the most favored players on the field. And that's why in his sophomore season, I think he has the potential to explode with Urban Meyer, a very, very good offensive coach. Trevor Lawrence is a big upgrade at quarterback. He can be used out of the backfield as well as in the passing game. And in the 8th round here, I think we're either in the 8th or 9th round. I think that's tremendous value for Laviska Shenault. A lot of upside here. I like him at the 901 pick. So a lot of players coming off the board. Tom Brady at quarterback. We knew at least one would probably come off the board. But Ryan Tannehill and Matthew Stafford, the two players that we marked as the tier break that you definitely want to get a piece of, are still available. So it'd be unwise to let them slide past this turn. Once you hit the double-digit rounds, teams start getting their backup quarterback. I personally prefer Matthew Stafford. I think there's a little bit more volume in the Rams offense. And I think Matthew Stafford and what's his face, Sean McVay, they have a lot to prove after making this trade. So they want to make this thing work. So I think Matthew Stafford has a lot of potential with the Rams this year. So I like Matthew Stafford. The computer really loves it. It says 99th overall for Matthew Stafford. We got him at 120, so that's tremendous value. Personally, I'm considering also drafting Ryan Tannehill just to shore up a very high floor at the quarterback position if anything were to happen to Stafford, or maybe it just doesn't work as I'm predicting. And the most reliable quarterback available is Ryan Tannehill. He came in at 12th in points per game last year, despite ranking 21st in pass attempts and 21st in yards per game and 28th in pass attempts. So he's extremely efficient. And with Julio Jones being added to this offense, I think there's a lot more potential for play action passes. Defenses respect Derrick Henry so much, it opens a lot of chances for those deep shots to A.J. Brown, to Julio Jones, a lot of yards after the catch. But I'm just going to do it. I'm going to shore up Ryan Tannehill and double up on quarterbacks here, make sure that we are set. I almost took Robert Tonyan because we have not addressed the tight end position, and Robert Tonyan was very, very reliable in the touchdown department last year. So that's why I'm going to take Robert Tonyan. Excellent touchdown potential. Let's take a look at Robert Tonyan's stats real quick. Where are you? Okay, last season he had 11 touchdowns. That was tied for first in the league with Travis Kelce. Now only 586 yards, so that's not amazing, but it's definitely nothing to sneeze at. But still, with Aaron Rodgers throwing him, you don't really need that many passes, especially when they're high value passes that are going in the red zone. So that's why I like Robert Tonyan. I would much rather take Robert Tonyan and another tight end like Rob Gronkowski or Jared Cook, for instance, than take a swing on Noah Fant in the 6th round. That's just in terms of difference in value, I would much rather wait 6 rounds to take my tight end. Blake Jarwin is very interesting. Dallas has a lot of opportunities for catches in that offense. So I like Blake Jarwin a lot. Let's take him. And that's going to shore up our draft. Okay, so let's take a look at our team. At quarterback, we've got Ryan Tannehill and Matthew Stafford. At running back, we obviously drafted Christian McCaffrey first overall. Then we took Joe Mixon, Myles Gaskin, A.J. Dillon, and we did not draft a 5th. We have 4 top 15 wide receivers in terms of volume. That's basically all you can ask for when you play fantasy football. You need the opportunity. If they're not getting the ball, then how do they score you points? So that's what's important. That's what I'm valuing. I love this team. So good luck to you. There's definitely an advantage to drafting first overall. Thanks for watching Nice and Blunt. Have a great rest of your day.